Hi everyone, this is Harry Hoffman, week 4, day 4. We talk about the prophet Elijah out of 1 Kings 17 to 19. Israel is ruled by the king Ahab and his wife Jezebel. There is a lot one could say about Ahab and Jezebel, their marriage relationship, the power abuse, manipulation, and narcissism. It's a real good example of psychopathology. But it's not our topic today. We talk about Elijah. And there are many parallels between Elijah and missionaries. Elijah is a single, and many missionaries. I mean, where would missions be without singles? So, all of you singles, go for it. And we have a great example in Elijah. Number 2 is that Elijah confronts the spiritual world. That's what missionaries do. The spiritual world for Elijah was dominated by King Ahab and Jezebel, who worshipped the god of Baal, a god of weather, a god of rain, a god of thunder and lightning. And Elijah goes there and says, this is not right, you cannot do this. Many missionaries go into foreign nations and they bring about dissonance. They say what is not right. They play another tune and that creates dissonance. And that's also a spiritual tension that is created by missionaries. And number 3 is what I think Elijah has in common with missionaries is that he was depressed. I don't know, I know many missionaries who suffered part of their lives a phase of depression. And many counseling ministries have been called after Elijah. As we look at the pyramid and the recipient, we put Elijah in the middle. He has a very clear calling to be a prophet. He has a strong relationship with God and he confronts the god of Baal by saying the god of Baal, who is a god of thunder and lightning and storm and wind and rain, and he says there will be a drought. So, as you can read in 1 Kings 17, Elijah prophesies the drought is coming, and then along the way Elijah gets adopted by a single parent, the widow and her son, like a household of a single, isn't that beautiful? A single parent. The single parents are usually sort of marginalized, sometimes marginalized by the church because they don't really fit the perfect family picture. And this is what God is using in the family friends corner to adopt Elijah in a time of need, and they provide for his needs. And it's often the poor people that are most generous with their time, with their gifts. And it's beautiful how this widow mother with her child is ministering and serving Elijah, trusting. I mean, that's a big deal to trust a foreigner into your home. And and they minister to him, and then in return he ministers to them. So it's a really beautiful picture of the family corner, how Elijah is being adopted there. I feel like that's just gold there. Gold right there. 1 King 18 continues with Elijah and the priests of Baal competing against each other, whose God is more powerful. And Elijah ultimately wins. There is a lot of killing. And then in 1 King 19 it continues. You see how Elijah's pyramid collapses and he goes into a depression. So let me read out of 1 King 19. Elijah was afraid and ran for his life because Jezebel wanted to kill him. When he came to Beersheba in Judah, he left his servant there. So that speaks of the people helper corner. He still had a servant, maybe several servants supporting him, and he just wanted to be alone. He left the servant there while he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness. He came to a broom bush, sat down under it, and prayed that he might die. Oh, how we know that. Those who have been through a phase of depression, you just want to die. You just want to leave this world. Leave me alone. I've had enough, Lord, he said. Take my life. I'm no better than my ancestors. And he lay down under the bush and fell asleep. Yeah, this is escape. Dark cloud, heavy. I've done enough. I've done my share. I don't want to have anything to do with this anymore. Take me, Lord. Let me sleep. I want to die. I'm done. I've given all I had and I'm empty. Leave me alone. So that's the typical phase of depression. And now what happens now is that God himself moves into the professional corner and he supports Elijah. He supports Elijah very practically, and that's such a beautiful picture. How God moves into the professional corner and just restores Elijah again. Now God sends an angel to support Elijah. He provides food, he provides water, he sends him to a cave, which is sort of the roof, the shelter. So those are the very basic things we need. And then after a while, he meets God again. So God leads him towards interacting with him again. And God is not in the wind. You know that story. God is not in the earthquake. He's not in the fire, but he's in the quiet whisper. He's in the quiet whisper. Beautiful. So that's the story of restoration for Elijah. Food, shelter, and connecting with God again. And not in the power, but in the quietness. And what does God say then? Go back to where you came from. Sort of build on the past. Go back to where you came from. I still have a calling for you. Your journey is not over yet. Anoint someone to succeed you as a prophet. Go to the group, to the church corner. You're not alone. Go to the church corner. There are still a couple of thousand people who haven't bowed down before Baal. They were faithful to the God of Israel. They are left there, it says in Scripture. And go back to this group. And you are not the last prophet. Anoint someone who is succeeding you. And later in the story, we know the school of prophets. This is his community he goes back to. Isn't that a beautiful picture? Isn't that a beautiful picture how God sort of moves into the professional corner with angels to support him, and then he plugs him back into the church corner, into the community corner to tell him, you're not alone. There is community here. And I presume part of that community is also friends and family and also people helpers, because church community can give so much in this area of people helper and family. And such a beautiful transformation and healing journey we can learn a lot from. And so for all people who suffer depression, there is hope. There is hope. And if there is no hope initially from people, there is hope from God himself. And that's such an encouraging, beautiful picture. I think one of the key elements in the restoration of Elijah is that God gives him time. There is no saying from God, just go back and smile. Just be happy, don't worry. Just forget the past and move on with life. Everything will be okay. No, God gives him time, gives him food, gives him shelter, gives him the God relationship back, and then plugs him into community again. It's such a beautiful story. And most of all, it's time. Sleep. Take your time until you are restored. That's the message. Take your time. Be ministered to. Build your relationship with God and take your time. Your calling is not over yet. And at the right time, you will be plugged back into where you came from. Yes, I like this. In terms of member care, missionaries, we know as missionaries what it's like to be in dissonance, to be in warfare, to be in difficult situations. And it's easy for us to feel the dark cloud over our heads and to just want to die. We've given everything and we don't want to be anymore. Lord, take us. Lord, take us. And it's such a beautiful picture of how God restores Elijah through his divine intervention, angels, food, shelter, God relationship again, and plugging him back into community. I hope there is something in here for you that you can take and apply to your own life. And tomorrow we will talk about member care and leadership and the pyramid of care for leaders. See you again tomorrow. Bye for now.